Hello everyone, Giltar here with some further thoughts on the Gundam Build Fighters anime series. Not really a review, but just a few points on the latest episode to air, which is episode 3, and some speculation for the show itself. So I'll start off with a few points on the latest episode. I really enjoyed it. I think it is a little slower in that it's more of a show centered on, I guess, development of certain characters like Reiji and Sei, further development on the whole concept of the show itself. And so you have more quiet moments, fewer battles. But I like that. I like the fact that we're getting episodes 1 and 2, which basically introduce us to the series and to the characters for the most part. And now we're getting sort of more fill in the gap type of work being done in the episodes. I do really like the scene where Ramba Ral or Ral takes Reiji to this bar where after work a lot of Gundam fans in the area congregate and basically hang out and enjoy their fandom of Gundam. And that was really funny to see just because you see all these guys cosplaying as Zeon soldiers and they all salute Ral when he comes in. I thought that was a really, really funny scene, a really great scene. Something else I liked was seeing more of Reiji's origin, or more of the truth of his character's identity. However, I do see that as kind of a red herring, and I'll get more on that later on. And just overall, I liked just the continuing progress and development of the show itself. Again, it's a lot slower in terms of this episode. I think some people might find this episode a little more boring. I personally found it more interesting because of what it offers. It gives us a lot more plot hooks to look at. Now, as far as my thoughts on the series as a whole, I'm pretty much a fan of the show right now, just because even though we're only 3 episodes in, I'm really liking how the show is being executed. I'm really liking also the concept of the show, which is, a lot of people don't like it for being a quote-unquote commercial. However, the fact of the matter is Gundam in general is a commercial. Every Gundam series sells products, mainly Gunpla and action figures and video games. So if you don't like Gundam Build Fighters for being a commercial, then you're basically not liking any Gundam for promoting and advertising products. And the thing about Gundam Build Fighters is that it's not necessarily an unabashed commercial. Rather, I think it's a really, potentially effective brand strategy. The thing is, as we saw in the reference to older Gundam fans in the bar scene, a lot of Gundam fans out there are adults. And as every year passes, there are more and more of these adults remaining fans, and potentially there are fewer young fans getting into Gundam. I mean, there are so many things on the scene in Japan that, in order for Gundam to continue to do well and not only last for 30 years or so, but rather to last another 30 years or more, to be sustainable as a brand, Bandai has to bring in new blood, new customers, new fans. And in order to do that, it has to offer a sort of, not necessarily olive branch, but really something that is more palatable to the newcomer. And that's what Gundam Build Fighters is. It introduces people to the fandom of Gundam and to the certain hobby of, plamo, of model kit, building and customizing. And I think Gundam Build Fighters does that in a really good way. I think it does a nice job of weaving in certain ideals and notions and concepts of real life, gunpla and plamo enthusiasts into the story. So, for example, Sei's parents own a gunpla shop. Sei himself is an accomplished customizer. They have this thing called Gundam Battle, which is sort of, in a way, a tool for people to realize their imagination. Whereas many kids, they in their minds, in their heads, they would picture Gundam battles. Well, in this work of fiction, people are able to do that. They can build a model kit and visualize through the help of technology their creations, battling and having these heroic struggles. And I think that's a really interesting thing. Some of the great things that the writers have woven into the story are things like the expression of pride and satisfaction in a model kit enthusiast's completion of a model, of their work and development of a model, of using their imagination to take something and make it their own. I think that's a really great set of values and ideals for little kids to learn who are watching Gundam Build Fighters and getting into Gundam for the first time. I think these are really positive points that kids can learn, and that's one of the main reasons why I like Gundam Build Fighters. I think it's a really great part of the cartoon that little kids can take something positive away from it. Now, as far as the show itself, in terms of art direction, I really do like the Gundam model kits in the show. I really like the interesting twists these base designs have, like the Strike going into the Build Strike full package. I think it looks great. Same thing goes for things like the Zaku Amazing. I really like that idea of just, these aren't, the greatest customs ever, but I find them fun and interesting, and a really great way for little kids to see something a little different than what they see on the shelves necessarily. Now, obviously, these kits are going to be ready-made for kids to look at, but you'll see throughout the series, and even in the promotion material for Gundam Build Fighters, is that it constantly talks about the notion of creating something of your own and customizing something different. Now, I want to move on to some speculation. The whole Reiji situation and his origin, I think it's a bit of a red herring. I find it very suspicious that for a mysterious character, we're getting a reveal of his origin, of the truth of his identity, awfully early on. And I think there's definitely more to the situation than we're being told. I think it's a red herring, and I think it's just a little clever sort of misdirection by the writers. And I hope that's the case. I would really like to see a twist on that because, again, it's a little too straightforward and a bit unsatisfying to know right away pretty much what's up with that character. Now, another piece of speculation is that you'll see in the opening credits a sort of mysterious girl, a mysterious female character, who is apparently the pilot of a larger mobile suit, mobile armor type of design. I'm thinking she might be the ultimate antagonist for the series. A lot of people were probably looking at Tatsuya and the Zaku Amazing as being the ultimate antagonist. I don't know if that's going to be the case. It's kind of obvious because he is basically the Char clone, the Char analog. I think it would be more intellectually and emotionally challenging and satisfying to have him not being the ultimate enemy. I think with that unnamed character being the ultimate enemy, I think would be more interesting. But even so, I'm going to even expand upon that idea even further. When you watch the opening credits, at the end of it, you're going to see the Gundam Build Mark II and the Gundam Build Strike Build full package as prominently displayed behind Sei, Reiji, and a few other cast characters. And if you watch the ending credits, you're going to see all the main characters who compete in Gundam Battle wearing cosplay costumes of their model kit. So Reiji is actually wearing the Gundam Build Mark II. And so I'm speculating right now that in the future, as the series progresses, Reiji and Sei will sort of develop in their partnership, in that perhaps Reiji will coach Sei on piloting, and Sei will coach Reiji on model kit building and customizing, and they're both going to become individual competitors, perhaps. And there are two basic scenarios I'm looking at. Rei and Seiji will team up against that unknown or unnamed female as the ultimate antagonist of the series, right? And show that they have to team up in order to defeat her to win Gundam Battle. Or, as an alternative, she is defeated, Tatsuya is defeated, everyone else is defeated, but Sei and Reiji have to face off against each other. So they're friends, but they end up being the two top competitors in Gundam Battle, and they basically have to face off against each other to decide who is the victor in this tournament. And to me, that would be a very interesting twist. It's kind of like having the relationship of Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter, in that they're friends, but they have this friendly rivalry, this friendly competition. So those are some of the speculations I have right now for Gundam Build Fighters. I do think that there's definitely a lot more to develop, and I'm really eager to see what will happen over the course of the next basically 40-ish, 50 weeks as the series goes through to its conclusion. What do you guys think? what do you guys think of episode 3? What do you think of Reiji's reveal? Do you have any speculations? Do you have any favorite designs coming up in the upcoming episodes or in the model kits that have been announced by Bandai? I would really love to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you at the next video.